Now, did that feel a bit weird to anybody else? Yeah, they've updated the music to mines. In fact, every map in update 4.10. Oh, sorry. Hi all, this is Skate, and this is a video about update 4.10. 4.10. It's not 5.0 like it was previously mentioned. It's update 4.10. Now, the biggest thing that is coming with update 4.10 is replays. I'm really looking forward to this. This is something the community has wanted for a long time. You have that epic game, and you weren't recording, or you don't record because you don't have the facility to, and you can't show anyone anything other than a screenshot. Well, as of the next update, you'll be able to share that, and you'll be able to send a little file to idiots like myself, and I can talk nonsense over the top of it in a video. So it's good news all round. But I'll go through replays in depth in a little bit. We have a map to cover as well. Let me just show you a couple of the other small features. This is one I'm happy about as well. Kind of happy. National crew voices, bottom of your settings menu. You'll also see record replays, and you can adjust the limit on how many replays you store on your device. Bear with me though, we're going to go through replays in a bit more depth. But yeah, national crew voices. Basically just changes the language. It's not technically national crew voices. Aside from that, reload icon in the team list. Now this is a great little feature. It shows you when your team are reloading. And that basically allows you to decide when to jump in and protect someone who is on a reload, and vice versa in theory and hopefully. Also, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick examples of what new music will be in the game. In other words, there's new theatrical music. It's not too bad, actually. It's just a bit weird after you've played so many thousands of battles here in the previous music. Something trivial, but I just wanted to include it. Now, what I also want to show you very quickly is the reload bar, which I mentioned earlier. If you look at my E25 in the top left-hand side of the screen, you will notice there is a little white bar below it, and it's now reloading. That's the reload bar. That will appear below every single one of your friendly tanks. It's very handy, it's very small, but it's a perfect little extra to add. And hopefully it's something which will improve all of our gameplays, because you know when to jump in and when not to. So it's a handy tool. Right then, let's talk about these replays in more depth. So we'll start from the start. The main menu. In the menu, you'll see a replay button. When you click the replay button, it'll take you through to this screen, which will show your latest battles, ones you favourite by clicking a start on, and uploaded games. Now, a couple of important things. Uploads. It's not an MP3 format or MP4 format or anything like that. It's a .wotb replay format, which means you have to play it through the client, which means you have to use it within the same update. So if you're going to send it to someone, make sure it's in the same update, otherwise it cannot be used. The advantage of this is you can store many of these files, and they take up very little room. Once you click on a file, it will bring you into a game just like this. It loads in like any normal game would, because that's pretty much what it's doing. It's replicating the previous game you had. So you'll start with this screen. So you've got a big bar at the bottom, and you have everything on display. If you don't touch the screen, it will follow your original camera movements. If you move the screen, you can move it round. Also on the PC version of the game, you can free cam it. In other words, you can take a game you played on your tablet, you can put it into the PC version and free cam your way around. Also, as you've noticed, I've turned every single thing off. So if you want to make something a little bit cinematic or pretty, you can turn it off and have it like this. For replays, I would keep the main menu interface on so you can see what is being done. Also, you can just double click the screen to get rid of the bar at the bottom. So you've got several options now, and it's very advantageous because you can, like I said, leave the screen alone, don't touch it, and it'll follow your original camera angles and views and where you were looking around. As with now, I can move the screen around into any position I like. I think this is a fantastic asset to have in the game. And then you just exit and you can go back to your original replays. It's a very simple and easy to use system. Now, the final thing I wanted to show you in Update 4.10 is this new map. And, well, I'm going to take advantage of the new replay system to show it to you. Also note my Germany 25 had a German voice, which is amazing. National crew voices. It doesn't actually give national crew voices, it basically just changes the language depending on what tank you're in, which is good and bad. For example, my British tanks, I love you American guys, however, I really wanted a British voice in my British tank. But this is still a step in the right direction. I'm very happy that my German tanks can now be German, my French tanks sound French. But it would have been nice if we had actual accents as well. But nonetheless, hopefully they'll add that at some point in the future. And let's talk about this map. Alpenstadt, which is at the bottom of the Alps. And it is a very, very nice map. I think this is something which is going to cater for all. And something I was very, very happy to see. Positions for tank destroyers. But they're very open, but they are also high. So you can play the long range game in your tank destroyers, but you can't camp it. Because if you camp it for too long, you're going to get flanked from a different position or a different angle, and it's going to hurt. But in those big, delicate tank destroyers, you can play a proper long range game. Because that's something which has been complained about with Blitz for a long time. The maps are too flat. This thing has some nice high advantage points with some good crossfire sections, and I'll hopefully demonstrate that with a couple of spots, which they have put bushes there conveniently to do. However, be advised, there's only one bush in each of these spots, so if you shoot from that bush, it is glaringly obvious what bush you are in. There's one in a nice high position, there's another one just on the left up there, and look, you've got nice high positions like this. Now these high sort of elevated positions are located around the outskirts of the map. And then you have a town in the middle with some bridges to go into it. So this is going to provide some diverse gameplay. It's going to provide some very interesting gameplay. You're going to have a lot of medium tanks trying to take low ground and take some flanks. You're going to have tank destroyers in positions exactly like that bush on the left, and like that bush just on the other side of the building. It's going to be a lot of long-range fire games, there's going to be a lot of cross-sections, and there's going to be a lot of brawling in the town with the heavies. The thing I would predict, I could be wrong, but what I would predict with this map is you need to have some big cojones to take your tank into the city very early into the game, because there are so many crossfire sections. So you can get into that town early. But look, you've got positions like this, you can shoot straight down one of the streets there. There's another position which I will go to in a moment, which you can shoot straight down another street. There's a lot of open range shots. So if you're going to YOLO in at the start, you need to be very careful of that. Here's another one, a little bit closer, and again it's the only bush on this ridge, which pretty much means if somebody, if you shoot someone from this bush, they're going to know which bush you're in. Now I say that as a prediction, but when a map ends up going public, people tend to find they have one route for a certain tank they like to take, or tank type rather, and end up just sticking to that pretty much every time they go on that map. It's not always the best way to go about it, because, well, you could end up in a better position if you just try somewhere else, but people do that. For example, you'll take a heavy one certain route only, regardless if your team are going another direction. That's what some people do. It's the way it is, so we'll have to see how it pans out. As it stands though, just by me driving around the map, I really like this map, I do. And there are so many different ways to play this map. And I'm hoping we don't just see one tank type go one certain route. I'm hoping this sort of map is going to be very diverse. Also, another reason I think this map is going to be interesting is you've got maps like Mines, which are very medium dependent, very situated purely about mediums going for that hill. I think this one's going to be quite the opposite. it's going to be dictated about where the tank destroyer is set up for those long-range shots, which directions they end up pointing their guns, because your mediums need to go looking down that route at that point, and then your heavies need to be blocking the other flank or pushing forward behind the mediums. I could be wrong, but that's how I'm going to try and play this map anyway. I think it's going to be very situational based on the tank destroyers. As with, like I said, mines, that's very dependent on the mediums, and there are other ones like Dynasty's Pearl, I think is very heavy dependent. But that's not to say they're going to dictate every single battle, because there are positions for mediums and lights to spot very early, very aggressively, and get back into cover by ducking in some sort of other position. I'm also going to change the view so you can basically see the minimap, which is important. We're in base C at the moment, which is situated between two little streets, but there are areas around the flanks where you can use tanks with gun depression, as well as tanks which need to side scrape up against the buildings. There's a river going around one side between A and B, but between B and C it's a dry riverbed. Still have the bridges though. So it's nice that you've got basically one riverbed and one river. Buildings situated all the way between B and C before you get into the main town, which is basically where B is, smack bang in the middle of town. There are some high spots around by C, however the majority of the high spots are located by A. That's where the big tank destroyers are going to go and try and set up for those massive long-range shots. And I am hoping to see a lot of movement on this map, even though there are those campy spots with some long-range viewpoints. You have so many different ways to duck in and out of cover, to push towards these tanks. And like I said, there's only one bush on each area, so let's be fair, you're going to know where they're shooting you from. So you got to be smart if you're a tank destroyer player, and if you're in something else, like a medium, light, you can spot in quickly and push away. Heavy tanks, could they suffer on this map? Time will tell. But with there being so many different varied routes, they could do, potentially. Heavy tanks naturally are best at blocking certain channels, but if a medium can then go, yeah, no worries, I'll take the other channel, mate, tra, they're long gone. But this is only meant to be a preview anyway. They may potentially change something by the time the map goes live, but as it stands, it's going to be quite a nice map, but I think it's going to be quite a challenging one, which is what you want. Because that pretty much leads to diverse gameplay, which leads to exciting gameplay. I was looking for Easter eggs, by the way. I'm not just being an idiot. I am just being an idiot, but still, I was looking for Easter eggs. Yeah, I'm going to cut the video off here. There's lots of things to look forward to on Update 4.10, and there are probably going to be some other stuff later on which I will make a video in regards to. But I hope you have enjoyed this preview of these. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.